There are several types of NLE software, such as Premiere Pro and Final Cut Pro. This time, I'm going to use an NLE software called DaVinci Resolve. NLE stands for nonlinear editing, and it is a system that allows you to access any frame in a digital video clip, regardless of the sequence. On the other hand, linear system was common back in the day when tapes and films were a standard form of recording media, where people had to work in a predetermined ordered sequence. The benefit of working on an NLE software during this modern era is that you can make trial and errors and always come back to an edit and stack layers of sequences because you are not working on a single timeline like a tape. Most of the modern video editing software is a non-linear editing system, and it shares basic ideas. Sony also makes their own software series called Catalyst. Catalyst Browse works as your media assistant and lets you browse files from your Sony cameras, deck, or card readers. You can see and edit your metadata, accurately view videos in the proper source color space. Inside DaVinci Resolve, I have already imported several clips into a newly made project. To import clips, you could either drag and drop clips into the software, or could go to File, Import Media. This is a project timeline, and this is where you build your sequence. Loading a clip onto a timeline is easier than ever. You could either drag and drop the entire media clip, or you could choose a certain part of your media to place onto the timeline. To do this, you simply double-click the media, which would load the media for a preview. Here, you can set an in point and an out point to place certain parts of a media onto a timeline. Once clips are loaded onto a timeline, the most basic way to cut and edit is to use the blade tool. You could also drag the edge of any media clip to a desired size. There are many other tools and techniques to make a cut, and some tools are unique to the software. But what I want to share is that cut editing is the most fundamental process of the post-production. How and where you cut a video clip decides the pace and the vibe of the entire project. For example, you could intentionally leave silence to create a time for your audience to process, or you could take away the silence to make a fast-pacing edit. There are infinite amount of editorial choices you make when cut editing, and every decision you make is unique on its own. The technical aspect of cut editing is simple, but when and where to make an actual cut and how to connect different clips is quite profound, and it takes an experience to master it. Now let me show you how to add titles and effects. Adding title and effect is simple. Under Effects tabs, there are several categories. Under Title, there are several different presets that you could choose from. For this demonstration, I would like to choose the most basic title. I drag and drop this onto the timeline and place it wherever I prefer. Same as media clips on timeline, I can change the length of this title by dragging the edge. By opening the Inspector tab, I can change different elements that this title has. For instance, the font and its color, the amount of shadow, and the size and its position. Now that I added a title, I'm going to add an effect. Inside Effects Library, there's a category called Open Effects, which holds many effects that are unique to DaVinci Resolve. This time, I'm going to add Glow, which is my favorite effect. By simply dragging and dropping it onto a clip that I like, I can apply the effect. Now I can see that this clip has a glowing highlight, which is especially apparent in the windows. Just like the title, under Inspector I can change its parameters. I can change the threshold. Making lower will make the video glow even more.